Hey there my lovelies, and welcome to my BookTube channel, The Sassy Library Fox. My name is V, and today we're going for my March to be read, but we are going to do even more than that. We're also going to host, or I am going to host, MinisculeMarch once again. We are already in the third year. I can't believe that I've been hosting this readathon for 2 years already and going into the third year, but here we are. So for everyone who isn't familiar with MinisculeMarch, I started this one as a fun thing about 3 years ago because I wanted to read short books and short novellas, and as it seems in March everyone goes for those readathons where you read really huge books, classics, or I don't know, those really huge books. And about 3 years ago I thought, why not go for a readathon where you read just short books and novellas, and in general just books that don't have more than 250 pages or so. So yeah, I told this to my bestie, and my bestie said that's a great idea. So ever since I've been hosting MinisculeMarch. And yeah, I think I might already have explained the readathon now, because it's quite simple. You can join easily. You just have to read short stories, books, mangas, whatever is less than about 250 pages. I won't be mad at you if you read a book with 260 pages. It just has to be a short book or a short story or novella or whatever. I'm not that, I don't look at the books that closely. It just have to be short books. Yeah, or whatever you think might qualify as short books. Because quite honestly, if you're a person that reads books with 500 plus pages and then you decide to read a 300 pages book, then that's short for you, I guess. Anyway, short books. And rule number 2, we just have 2 rules for this readathon. It's really simple. Rule number 2, you have to read them from March 1st until March the 31st. So you've got an entire month to read your short books. And I always managed to read quite a lot. Last year I read 5 books, I think, in March. So I'm hoping and crossing my fingers that this year's MinisculeMarch will go well. This time around I actually looked for short books beforehand. And yeah, I think I don't have to explain anything anymore. Yeah, those were the 2 rules. We don't have more rules than that. It's a fairly easy readathon to follow and to join. So I hope a lot of you will join, the more the merrier, and let me know which kind of books you are going to read if you join. I would love to hear that. So without further ado, let's just jump into the books I want to read this year in MinisculeMarch. This year I actually thought about the books I wanted to read. It wasn't a last minute decision, but it was a well thought out, calculated risk, I might say, to put those 2 books on my to be read. And as you can see, I got my coffee at the ready, I got my cheat sheets, and let's just go for the first book I want to read, and it is A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky. And I read the first book. I think it might have been for MinisculeMarch in the first year. I can't remember. But yeah, I read the first book and I really enjoyed that one. It was a great story. It was very philosophical. It was nice and short, as you can see. And the first book was basically about sibling decks. And sibling decks is a tea-monk. Yeah, I know you're already wondering, what is a tea-monk? Well, a tea-monk is a person that goes from one city to the next, offers people tea and listens to their troubles, problems, life stories, whatever. So sibling decks is a tea-monk. But Sibling Dex has some sort of, well, you might say, existence crisis in the first book, and doesn't know if what they are doing is what they are supposed to do, if you get the idea. And yes, Sibling Dex uses they them pronouns, so we have a non-binary MC. And in the first book, Sibling Dex goes into the wild, and in this world there live robots in the wild. One day, centuries ago, they lay down their tools and went into the wild and decided that they wouldn't work for humankind anymore. So ever since, robots and humans have lived separately, and yeah, the humans in the cities and villages haven't seen the robots for years. But then, on a whim, Sibling Dex decides to go into the wild and to explore the wild, because they are having a crisis, you might say. It's not even a midlife crisis, it's just a life crisis. And discover a robot, or the robot discovers them. The first meeting of those two was so funny and nice, and the robot's name is Moscap. And they start to talk, and they start to get to know each other and their cultures, because, as already said, there wasn't any contact between humans and robots for decades, centuries, whatever. And yeah, the second book, those two go on a journey through the villages and the cities of their planet, and still are searching for the meaning of life. So I'm very curious where this one is going, if it will be as good as the first one. The first one was really such a lovely, heartwarming, comforting story. For everyone who ever felt lost, this is actually a must-read. And I can't wait to read book 2. I finally found it in my library and immediately picked it up so that I could add it to my to-be-read in March. And yeah, just let me take a sip here. Before we go to the second book I want to read in March. And this one I had to pre-order from the library because it's currently borrowed to someone else, and I hope, fingers crossed, I will get it in time. I just make sure to blend it in over there so that you know what it is. And it's What Feasts at Night by T.Kingfisher. And oh, I just noticed a trend here, because this is the second book with a non-binary character. That's great. It's not just MinisculeMarch, apparently it's also the month in which I will read all the books with non-binary characters. If you need recommendations, those two definitely work if you want to read about the non-binary representation. Anyway, back to What Feasts at Night. It's also the second book in a series. I already read the first book about 2 years ago, I think. It was What Moves the Dead, and What Moves the Dead was some sort of retelling of the fall of the House of Usher. I loved it. It was so amazing. It was great. It totally blew away my expectations. Ever since I read that one, I'm even more into queer horror stories, because What Moves the Dead was really great. And the second book is What Feasts at Night. And we're once again back with Alex Easton. And Alex Easton is returning to his home country, Galatia. I hope I pronounced it right, but I think you either say it Galatia or Galatia. I don't know how you pronounce it, but Easton decided they wanted to go back home after everything that happened in the first book, which was quite a lot. That was really a short book and it packed such a punch, but humor was amazing. The spooky, creepy, eerie scenes was great. I can highly recommend reading the first book. And in the second book, Easton returns to their home country and takes Mrs. Potter with them, and Angus, of course. Mrs. Potter wants to take a look at the flora and the fauna of Galachia, and also take a closer look at all the mushrooms growing there. She is a specialist of mushrooms. I can't remember the exact term for that profession, but I will look it up and blend it in here if I find it. No promises there. But when they return, all three of them, they have to notice that the estate of Easton is empty, the groundskeeper died a mysterious death, and people in the village claim that there's something sinister roaming the halls of Easton's estate. So yeah, at first Easton thinks it might be superstition or just rumors, and there might be a plausible explanation, but after everything they saw in the first book, they become a little bit weary of that local legend though. Yeah, I have no idea what feasts at night, but I make sure to find out once I read that book. It has like 151 pages, so I should be through that in no time, which also gives me hope that the person who borrowed it until the beginning of March might return it early, because it's really a short book and you can read it pretty fast. Fingers crossed it will get here before March starts. And I could have put so many other books on this March to be read list, because there are quite a lot of books that are short and would fit the bill. I mean, I just think about Laurie by C.G. Drews. They wrote a prequel, I think, to Don't Let the Forest In, and the next book they wrote. So those two books merge in Laurie. And Memento by J. Christoph from the Illuminae series would be a great idea to read as well. Also, I think Before the Coffee Gets Cold is a very short book too, so yeah. All of those would qualify to be read in MinisculeMarch, just to give you an idea of what you could read. And yeah, I think that's it. The rules for this readathon are so simple. Just read short books with about 250 pages until the end of March. That's it. That's all the qualifications you need to join. And it would be nice if you would tell me which kind of books you want to read. Yeah. But aside of that, there are no rules. You can read whatever short book captures your interest. Okay, this said, I'm gonna take a last sip here. And I would really love to hear which kind of books you are going to read in March, if you're taking part in MinisculeMarch, and if yes, which kind of books you want to read for that readathon. You have 31 days, so that should be enough time to read a couple of short stories and books. And maybe you have recommendations, so drop them down below. And yeah, I guess that's it for now. And we are already at the ending of my video, and there's nothing left to say except of take care, stay healthy and safe, and see you around the next time. Bye!